Exposed, how a rejected millionaire at Christmas discovered an incredible love from a waitress. Jack Thompson never thought he'd end up here. In the small town of Maplewood, where the streets glimmered with Christmas lights and the air was rich with the scent of fresh hot cocoa, he felt like a forgotten shadow. Once, he had it all: money, prestige, and a life to envy. Now, he was just a face at the local diner, nursing black coffee while the world around him celebrated the season with joy and laughter. As he stared into his cup, the weight of his failures pressed heavily against his chest, a constant reminder of everything he'd lost. He arrived at Rosie's diner each morning, a little more disheveled and lost each day. The laughter of families filled the air, but all he could hear were the echoes of his previous life parties, lavish gifts, and the thrill of success. Now, he was just a rejected millionaire, invisible to the very community that once would have idolized him. It was during one of these visits that he met Emily, a waitress with a spirit that sparkled brighter than the Christmas lights outside. She was in her 20s but carried the weight of the world on her shoulders, juggling 2 jobs and raising her young daughter, Lily, all while wearing a warm smile that could light up the coldest days. Emily looked beyond Jack's scruffy beard and worn clothing. She saw the flicker of humanity behind his sorrowful eyes. "Hey there. First time in. What can I get you?" Her cheerful voice cut through his fog of despair. Jack found himself returning her smile, hesitant at first, but then realizing it was the first genuine warmth he'd felt in ages. They exchanged stories over steaming mugs of coffee, the laughter from the other patrons a backdrop to their budding friendship. For the first time, Jack felt seen, yet guilt crept in, reminding him of his past achievements, the life he had squandered. As December rolled on, cracks appeared in Emily's cheerful facade. She confided in Jack about the mounting pressure of single motherhood, the unpaid bills, and whispers of foreclosure threatening her modest home. Each word tore at Jack's heart. Here was a woman fighting for her dreams, while he sat stuck in his regrets. He felt powerless, but the growing connection between them inspired him. It made him want to rise above his shame and do something worthwhile. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Jack stood at a crossroads, staring down at his coffee with a racing heart. Thoughts raced through him. What if he could help? Inspired by the kindness Emily showed, he resolved to rally the community. He began organizing a fundraiser, making calls and knocking on doors, reaching out to neighbors he had barely spoken to before. Each no he received felt heavy, yet each yes flickered with hope. He witnessed the magic of community, of people banding together. And just like that, as the first flakes of snow began to fall, Jack discovered that his true worth lay in his actions, not in his lost wealth. But before he could confess to Emily how much she meant to him and how he sacrificed his pride for her cause, the day of the fundraiser loomed. Would the town support Emily? Would they lift her, and in doing so, lift him too? Jack knew he stood to lose more than just his heart. He needed to answer the question: could he face his ghosts while trying to help someone else? This Christmas, with love and redemption on the line, Jack had to decide: could true community bring him back to life, or would it all slip away with the falling snow? The day of the fundraiser arrived, draped in a blanket of soft, white snow. The chill in the air matched Jack's nervousness as he set up the tables and decorations in the town hall. His heart hammered in his chest, uncertain if people would show up. It was so much more than a fundraiser, it was an opportunity to give back, to fight for Emily. Every chair that he placed turned into an echo of all the doubts he'd carried. Would they believe in him? Would they believe in her? Emily walked into the hall, her cheeks flushed from the cold, and the sight of her momentarily took Jack's breath away. She was bundled in a cozy sweater adorned with reindeer, her hair falling in soft waves. When their eyes met, a warm smile broke across her face, and Jack felt a rush of determination. This was about more than numbers, this was about hope. He wanted her to see him as more than just a shadow. He wanted her to see the man he was trying to become. Wow! This looks amazing, Jack! Emily exclaimed, her eyes widening as she took in the festive decorations. The tinsel, twinkling lights, an overwhelming sense of community filled the room. Jack couldn't help but smile back. Her enthusiasm was infectious. Thanks. I really wanted it to feel special for you, he admitted, the words tumbling out before he could second-guess himself. He watched as her expression shifted, surprise flickering across her face. You didn't have to go through all this trouble, she replied, a hint of awe in her voice. I wanted to. You deserve to know that people care about you, about us, he said, the weight of those words sinking in. Perhaps for the first time, he articulated what had been stirring in his heart. As the evening wore on, the townsfolk began to trickle in, each familiar face bringing a sense of hope. Jack felt the tension ease with every warm laugh and kind word, but he also felt the pressure swell. Could this be enough? Would the amount raised truly make a difference? Emily seamlessly started working the crowd, her natural charm drawing people in. She shared her story, her eyes filled with a mixture of vulnerability and strength. Jack could see how people connected with her, moments of compassion igniting in their eyes. He felt something stir deep within him. If only he could step up as boldly as she did. As the night progressed, the event turned into a raucous celebration filled with laughter and joy. People purchased raffle tickets, donated items, and shared stories about their own struggles and triumphs. Jack noticed a little girl tugging at Emily's arm, her eyes wide as she asked for her mother. It was Lily, the daughter whose world rested on Emily's shoulders. Seeing their connection stole Jack's breath again, filling him with a mix of admiration and longing. When the final donations were counted and announced, Jack barely contained his excitement. They had surpassed the goal, raising more than he had ever hoped. Cheers erupted around the room as people embraced, rejoicing in the spirit of the season. Jack caught Emily's eye, and the look she gave him sent a rush of warmth through him. But just as he was about to pull her aside and share his feelings, he noticed someone lurking in the shadows, watching with a skeptical expression. It was one of Jack's old business acquaintances, someone from his past who represented everything he had worked so hard to escape. The mixture of success and fear gripped him, leaving him on edge. What would they say? What would they do? As the celebration continued, Jack felt a swell of confidence. He wanted to tell Emily everything, how she inspired him, how he longed to support her. But reality was knocking, and he knew the moment would soon turn. Could he finally break free from the chains of his past, or would the arrival of an old face threaten to unravel everything he had built? The tension thickened as Jack took a deep breath, ready to face whatever came next. Jack's heart raced as he locked eyes with the familiar face lurking in the corner. The man's expression was a blend of disbelief and scorn, as if he stumbled upon a ghost he had long thought buried. It was Oliver, a business partner from a past life Jack had tried to escape. Their history wasn't pretty. Failed ventures, deceit, and betrayal had left deep scars. Now, here he was, at a joyful fundraiser, ready to freeze the warmth that filled the hall. The laughter and camaraderie around him started to dissipate as Oliver walked into view, his confidence crushing the festive spirit like a snowflake underfoot. Jack's stomach churned with unease. Could he distract himself from the past just for tonight? Jack. Didn't expect to see you here, Oliver said, his voice dripping with cynicism. Several heads turned, curiosity dawning across the crowd. Jack felt exposed when he attempted to muster a response. I'm here to support Emily, he replied, trying to keep his voice steady. Support? Or hide from your failures? I wouldn't have pegged you as the fundraising type, Oliver shot back, a smirk creeping onto his lips. Jack clenched his fists, wanting to retaliate but holding back, unsure how this confrontation would taint the spirit of the evening. Emily was moving across the room, unaware of the brewing tension. Jack's eyes flickered to her, and the warmth of her presence provided a much-needed anchor. She was too bright, too filled with hope, just like this night, for him to crumble now. As he turned back to Oliver, Jack threw caution to the wind. "I've moved on. You should try it sometime. There's more to life than chasing money and power." Oliver's eyes narrowed. "Moving on? That's rich coming from you. You think running a fundraiser will somehow redeem you? We both know life doesn't work like that." The words hit hard, like small daggers of doubt piercing Jack's resilience. He knew the truth: deep down, success wasn't built on the past, but on what he chose to do now. His gaze flickered to Emily again. She was chatting with other supporters, her laughter rising like music. Suddenly, he felt a rush of boldness. "Actually, it's about more than money," he replied, the conviction rising in his voice. "This is about people, hope, and community. Something you wouldn't understand, locked away in your glass tower." The murmurs from the crowd grew louder, and Jack could see the tide of support shifting. Faces turned toward him, waiting for the outcome of this unexpected showdown. A knot in his chest began to loosen as he felt their collective strength. "You'll fail again, Jack," Oliver warned, stepping closer. "You have no real plans. You're just a dreamer basking in nostalgia." Jack fought to steady his breathing. "What matters is I have a dream worth fighting for. And I have people here who believe in it." At that moment, as Emily's laughter rang through the hall, his heart swelled with a fierce determination. What Oliver saw as weakness, Jack knew was strength. Vulnerability was necessary for authentic connections and genuine support. So he took a step forward, facing Oliver head-on. "I'm not afraid of failure anymore. I'm ready to embrace whatever comes next, with or without you." The tension hung heavily in the air, as eyes darted between the two men. Oliver's sneer faltered, and for a brief moment, Jack saw doubt cross his face. But it was fleeting, and the man stepped back, his bravado dimming. "This isn't over, Jack." Jack didn't respond. Instead, he turned away, seeking Emily in the crowd once more. The warmth of her presence wrapped around him like a protective blanket, offering clarity amid the chaos. He approached her, ready to share a piece of his heart, but the look on her face stopped him. There was concern mingled with admiration. "Are you okay?" she asked softly, reaching out to him. He hesitated, weighing his next words carefully. "I am." But was he really? The remnants of anxiety clung to him, the echoing words of his past reverberating in his mind. He didn't want to hide anything from her, especially not now, when everything felt so fragile yet full of promise. Just then, the doors swung open, a cold gust swirling in. A newcomer stepped in, their presence commanding attention as they walked towards Jack, a mysterious glint in their eyes. Jack's breath caught. Who were they, and what did they want? As the holiday spirit crackled in the air, Jack stood on the edge of revelation, uncertainty swirling around him like the snow outside. What would this new arrival bring? Would they shatter the fragile peace he fought to protect, or guide him into a new chapter of his life? Jack felt the energy shift as the newcomer approached. The crowd's laughter faded, replaced by a buzz of intrigue. This person had a presence that commanded attention. They stood tall, wrapped in a deep blue coat that contrasted sharply with the sea of festive colors around them. "Excuse me," the figure said, their voice smooth and confident. It was a woman, her hair cascading like dark silk around her shoulders, framing an intriguing face. Jack's breath quickened, not from attraction alone but from instinct. There was something about her that radiated warmth and curiosity. "Can I help you?" he asked, trying to maintain his composure in the wake of the earlier confrontation with Oliver. "I'm looking for someone," she replied, her gaze locking onto his. "Jack Melton, right?" His heart skipped, unsure how she knew his name. "Yes, that's me." "How do you know who I am?" "Emily mentioned you," she said, glancing over at Emily, who was now deep in conversation with some donors. The woman turned back to Jack, her eyes filled with determination. "I'm Marissa. I just started helping out with the fundraising efforts. I need to talk to you about something important." Emily caught sight of them and made her way over. "Marissa. I didn't know you'd be here," she exclaimed, a smile brightening her face. "This is Jack." The two exchanged greetings, but Jack's mind was too tangled to pay full attention. Marissa's presence felt like a breath of fresh air. Her gaze was steady, as if she could peer right into the depths of his turmoil. "Jack, can we talk?" Marissa asked, her voice firm yet inviting. There was urgency in her tone, and Jack sensed it was more than just the usual chit-chat about fundraising. Nodding, he gestured toward a quieter corner of the hall, away from the laughter and music. As they stepped aside, he could feel the weight of expectation settle between them. "What is going on?" he asked, leaning against a wall, his heart still racing from the encounter with Oliver. Marissa hesitated, searching for the right words. "I think you should know that the fundraiser tonight is about more than just raising money. It's also about bringing people together who can make a difference." Jack listened intently. "And there's potential here," she continued, her voice low and intense. "But it's also vulnerable to outside forces, like Oliver." The way she said the name sent a chill down Jack's spine, reminding him of the cold confrontation he had just faced. "He's not going to ruin this," Jack stated with conviction, the flicker of doubt he had felt earlier returning for a moment. "Exactly. But we have to act deliberately. The community needs to see that you've changed, and that you genuinely care. The last thing we want is for Oliver to use your past against you," she warned. Jack's mind raced. What if Marissa was right? He had worked so hard to rise above the expectations tied to his name. "So what do we do?" She stepped closer, intensity flaring in her eyes. "We focus on showcasing what you have now and who you are. Emily believes in you, as do others. But you need to be transparent about your journey." Her words struck a chord. Jack had been hiding, even from himself. He had only shared pieces of his past with Emily, he hadn't fully confronted it. He looked at Marissa, whose concern was palpable. "You're right. I always thought I could just push forward, but this. It's complicated. Complicated can be beautiful." She sounded hopeful, and the spark in her demeanor energized something inside Jack. "You have a genuine chance to redefine what success looks like for you. Take it." His heart raced at the thought of what lay ahead. "I want to. I don't know if I'm ready to lay it all bare." Marissa nodded slowly. "You are. Trust me. Let us strategize. Let us show everyone that you're not just a face of failure, but of resilience and growth." As Jack absorbed her words, a sense of purpose ignited within him. There was a lightness creeping in, mixing with the anxiety he had felt earlier. "Thanks, Marissa. I can't tell you how much this means to me," he said, feeling grateful that she had approached him. "Just remember there's power in sharing your truth," she urged, a kind smile softening her sharp demeanor. Before he could respond, they were interrupted by a loud cheer from the crowd. Jack turned to see Emily leading a group of supporters in a toast, glasses raised. He felt a swell of joy and pride, followed by a sharp pang of fear. Would Oliver attempt to sabotage this moment? "Let us get back," Jack said, glancing at Marissa, determination surging through him. But as they walked back toward the crowd, doubts lingered at the edge of his mind, threatening to cloud the budding hope. Could he navigate the tangled web of expectations, fears, and the past he was trying so desperately to escape? And then there was Oliver still lurking, a shadow waiting for the right moment to descend. What if this was only the beginning of the battle? Jack felt the warmth of the crowd wash over him as he returned with Marissa, but that buoyant feeling was quickly replaced by uncertainty. The cheers echoed in his ears, ringing with a mix of celebration and dread. What would Oliver do next? He scanned the room, spotting the man with his usual smug grin, as if he thrived off the chaos he created. Emily raised her glass, her eyes twinkling with excitement. To all of you. To hope, to change, and to a brighter future. The crowd followed suit, clinking glasses, voices merging into a symphony of encouragement. As Jack stood there, a reminder of his tumultuous past lingered, always intertwined with Oliver's shadow. Does this help? Marissa whispered, drawing Jack's attention back to her. She nodded toward Emily, who was genuinely invested in the moment, her spirit filling the room. It does, Jack admitted, fighting to maintain his composure. But it feels delicate. Like glass. Some things are. But sometimes you have to be willing to take that risk. Her reminder echoed in his mind, both daunting and thrilling. He had spent so much time avoiding discomfort that he had almost convinced himself that not stepping forward was safer. Now, Marissa was challenging him to confront the flaws in that logic. As he joined the laughter and clinking glasses, he felt hesitant, wondering if revealing his truth would bring support or contempt. Marissa seemed to sense his unease. You don't have to carry everything alone. You have allies now. Just breathe. Soft laughter erupted from a nearby table, pulling his attention as he caught sight of Emily, beaming. Her joy was infectious, stitching together fragments of hope with camaraderie. But Jack was acutely aware of Oliver, a lurking predator waiting for the right moment to strike. Are you ready? Marissa's question jolted him. For whatever it takes. Because he won T-stop. I don't know if I'll ever be fully ready for that, Jack admitted, his voice low, almost lost in the festivity. You don't have to be perfect, just brave. She smiled, a comforting presence amidst the chaos. If you fumble, we're all still here for you. Jack's heart tightened, tethered between desire and fear. He looked back at the crowd, feeling a swell of resolve. I have to try, right? For Emily, for everyone here. I can't let him win. The jump from uncertainty to determination felt surreal. Jack straightened his posture, adjusting his grip on his drink, the warmth of Marissa's support invigorating. Are you going to join the toast? She asked, her eyebrows raised, clearly encouraging him more than ever. Yeah, he said, shaking off the weight of doubt. Let us do this. As the crowd quieted for the toast, Jack felt the moment stretching before him, a palpable anticipation settling like a heavy veil. He could feel Emily's eyes on him, full of faith and pride, and somewhere in that gaze, he found his own strength. He stepped forward, raising his glass alongside Emily. To new beginnings and unwavering friendships. He called, his voice breaking slightly with emotion. To truth. The crowd replied, their sound thundering with energy, lifting Jack up with their applause and gratitude. But just as he began to feel invincible, a voice broke through, grabbing his attention with icy fingers. What truth are we toasting to? Oliver's tone was smooth, a knife wrapped in velvet. Jack's heart sank, realizing Oliver had found his moment. The room hushed, eyes darting toward the source of the tension. Jack felt a pit in his stomach as all eyes shifted, taking in the looming specter of conflict. Before he could respond, Marissa stepped forward, her entire demeanor shifting from supportive friend to fierce protector. The truth is that we rise together or we fall. And none of us will let you dim that light, Oliver. Jack's breath quickened, a mix of gratitude and apprehension swelling from deep within. Marissa stood beside him, unyielding. And in that moment, he found resolve again, but now sharper, more resolute. Tonight could be the beginning of everything, or the start of a battle that threatened to unravel it. All. Could he stand and fight against a past that weighed so heavily? Or was this the moment everything would change? The answer hung in the air, and Jack felt it creeping closer. The silence in the room felt almost palpable. Jack's heart raced as Oliver surveyed the crowd, his lips curling into a patronizing smirk. It was as if he thrived on this moment, feasting on the tension that thickened the air. Jack could feel every set of eyes shifting back and forth, absorbing the confrontation like some morbid spectacle. Underneath the ecstatic cheer from moments before lay uncertainty and fear. "Why are we hiding behind euphemisms, Marissa?" Oliver's voice dripped with condescension. "The truth? What truth are we really talking about? Is it the truth of Jack's failures? Is that what we're celebrating?" He leaned in slightly, his gaze piercing, as if trying to peel layers from Jack's soul. Jack stiffened. He'd known this moment was coming, but that didn't make it easier. Marissa planted her feet firmly, refusing to back down. "It's the truth of our strength, Oliver," she shot back, her voice steady. "Jack's truth is not defined by your twisted games." Jack marveled at her bravery, the way she stood unwavering in front of Oliver. Her fierce loyalty sparked something deep within him, a flicker of courage he had almost forgotten. "And the truth is," he interrupted, gathering his voice, "I've learned to face my past. I'm ready not just for myself, but for the people who care about me." The crowd stirred, a wave of energy washing over them as they absorbed his words. It felt like a tiny rebellion against the despair that Oliver represented. Jack felt a surge of adrenaline, and for a brief moment, he thought he could win this fight. "You really think you can stand up to me?" Oliver's laugh ricocheted through the room, a jagged sound that cut through their solidarity. "Please. You're still the same coward who ran away when things got tough." Those few words hit Jack like a punch to the gut. Memories flew at him, running away from responsibilities, the shame of being chased by demons. But he also heard Marissa's voice, echoing the idea of bravery. If he ran away now, what would that say? He'd already come so far. "I'm not running anymore," Jack stated firmly, his gaze locking with Oliver's. "This time, I will fight. You might have owned parts of my past, but you don't own my future." There was a palpable pause, a moment where the whole world seemed to stop. Then, the crowd erupted into a chorus of supportive murmurs. Emily beamed, pride radiating from her bright eyes. Jack drew strength from her expression, as if her faith in him was a guiding light. "And what can you do, Jack? What will you do?" Oliver's tone shifted slightly, more curious than mocking now. "I'm not going to let you intimidate me or anyone else here. I'm going to expose the truth behind your lies. It's not just about me anymore, it's about everyone you've harmed." Even as he spoke, Jack felt the weight of those words. Was he really ready for this battle? Interesting choice of words. Oliver's smirk faded slightly, though his bravado remained. "But know this, the moment you take a step forward, I'll be right behind you, waiting to drag you back down." Jack took a deep breath, realizing the enormity of what he'd just promised. Yet, standing there, flanked by the support of Marissa and Emily, the weight felt lighter than it had ever been. "Then bring it on." With those words, Jack sensed a shift in the atmosphere, a widening crack that felt like a door opening to a broader horizon. And for the first time, the future seemed filled not just with fear, but with possibilities. As Oliver's eyes narrowed, a flurry of emotions swept through the crowd, weaving them together into an unbreakable bond. They were his allies now. In that moment, Jack knew he was no longer simply fighting for himself, he was fighting for all the people who had felt oppressed by Oliver's shadow. But he couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. What would happen when Oliver retaliated? Jack's heart raced with anticipation at the thought of the confrontation ahead, knowing it would require every ounce of strength he had. Would the alliances he had forged withstand the storm to come? The air crackled around him, unanswered questions hanging like ripe fruit on the edge of a branch. Jack stood at the center of the room, adrenaline coursing through him, but he felt a sudden weight at his feet. The confident words he had uttered moments before now hung in the air, heavy and uncertain. Oliver's eyes gleamed with unspoken threats, and Jack could sense the crowd holding its breath, waiting for the next move. "What now, Jack?" Oliver's condescending tone cut through the charged atmosphere. "You think you can hurt me? You're just a kid playing a game far above your level. With his friends at his side, Jack kept his gaze steady. He could see the trepidation etched on the faces surrounding him. Was he truly ready to expose Oliver? What if this confrontation backfired? Yet, in that moment, he realized his own strength came from the people who believed in him. "I'm done playing games, Oliver," Jack replied, navigating each word carefully but firmly. "This isn't just about me. It's about the lives you've affected, the people you've hurt. I won't let you intimidate anyone again." As he delivered his speech, the expressions of the crowd began to shift. Several faces filled with hope, while others still showed lingering doubt. Somehow, Jack felt that they needed him to keep going, that they all craved a reason to believe. Marissa stepped closer, her presence an unwavering anchor amid the storm. "Everyone here knows what you've done, Oliver," she added, her voice calm yet fierce. "You can't keep hiding behind lies and manipulation. Your time is up." The tension hung between them, electric and charged, as Oliver's facade began to crack under their unified stance. "So, you're all going to rally behind a washed-up loser?" He sneered, but the bite in his voice lacked conviction. Jack glanced at Emily, who met his gaze, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. It sparked a fire within him. "No, we're here standing up for each other. For every person you've tried to belittle or scare." As the words left his lips, he sensed a shift. The crowd began to murmur, and he loved the way that hope transformed their expressions. He could almost feel the wave of revival wash over them, uniting everyone in their shared suffering. But Oliver wasn't done. He leaned in, a predatory glint flickering in his eyes. "You don't understand the monster you're facing. You think one speech and a couple of friends can change anything? I hold the cards here." "Not for long," Jack retorted, a defiant glimmer igniting within him. He was tired of the fear that had held him captive for too long. It was time for an uprising. The realization dawned on him that standing alone, it would be nearly impossible. But standing together? That was a different story. "We are shifting the narrative. You're outnumbered." The atmosphere thickened with a collective resolve, fueled by Jack's fire. Suddenly, emboldened by their presence, others began to step forward, sharing their own small victories against Oliver's cruel reign, their courage amplifying like echoes in a narrow canyon. A woman from the back shouted, "We're here for you, Jack. He's not invincible." With each new voice joining in support, Jack felt a crescendo of spirit swelling within him, rising up against the once oppressive threat. He turned to Marissa and Emily, their smiles radiating comfort and strength. Jack could hardly believe this was happening. As the echoes of camaraderie filled the room, Oliver's confident mask slipped further. "You think you'll change anything?" He shot back, his bravado cracking. "You don't even know what I'm capable of." "What he means," Marissa interjected, "is that your efforts to manipulate and control are no longer working. We see you for who you really are." Jack's heart raced. The stakes had never been higher. Would Oliver retaliate with new cruelty? Just how far was he willing to go to maintain his grip of fear? The air shimmered, electric with anticipation, and Jack wondered if they could truly break free from Oliver's hold. The determination among the crowd left no room for doubt, even as questions lingered in the air like loose ends of a fraying thread. Just then, as Oliver's eyes narrowed, Jack remembered the words that had helped him find his courage. "I'll fight for all of us. If you want a war, I'll make sure the truth speaks louder than your lies." And suddenly, Jack wondered what tomorrow might bring. Would their newfound strength withstand the storm of Oliver's wrath? Would they finally confront the darkness that loomed over their lives? As the crowd swelled with hope, Jack sensed that they were on the edge of something momentous, as uncertain possibilities loomed heavy in the air. The room pulsed with tension, each heartbeat echoing Jack's resolve as he faced Oliver. The hostile air thickened, and every eye fixed on the confrontation, mirroring the rising stakes. Jack could almost taste the fear mingling with hope, a strange cocktail of emotions that sent adrenaline coursing through him again. He had opened the door to a battle, but it felt exhilarating, like stepping into the light after a long, dark night. Oliver's smile twisted, but Jack refused to let it unnerve him. "You're all fools to think you can change anything," he shot back, desperation leaking into his words. "You'll regret this." "Regret?" Jack leaned forward, his voice steady. "The only regret will be yours when you realize the walls are closing in. You're not as untouchable as you think." A ripple of chatter moved through the crowd. Jack could feel the energy shift, as if they were awakening from a spell cast over them. Some faces glimmered with renewed courage, others felt the weight of years' worth of fear about to be lifted. He caught Emily's eye again, her encouragement was a lifeline. "Look around you, Oliver," Marissa added, gesturing broadly. "You've built your empire on fear, but fear has a way of crumbling when confronted with unity." A few murmured affirmations echoed through the room. "Stand with us," someone shouted from the back, bringing a fresh wave of confidence. Jack turned his gaze to the crowd, feeling the warmth of solidarity washing over him like a wave. In this moment, he realized something profound. This wasn't just about confronting Oliver. It was about reclaiming their lives, taking back the power he once believed the bully wielded. And yes, while fear still lingered at the edges of his heart, it was outnumbered by the fire of determination. Oliver's facade cracked more with every passing second. "You think I'm afraid of you? You think a bunch of washed-up wannabes can take me down?" he barked, the menace in his voice faltering. "You're right, Oliver," Jack said, his voice carrying through the room, clear and resonant. "We might not all be perfect, but we're stronger than the lies you've spun. What you fail to understand is that your power is built on isolation. Together, we can dismantle everything you've built up brick by brick." The energy surged again. It wasn't just Jack pushing them forward now, it was a collective force, like a tidal wave gathering momentum. They all wanted a next step, a move that would finally shift the balance of power. A figure stepped out from among the murmuring crowd. It was a young man from Jack's school, someone who had always kept his head down. "I haven't stood up to you before," he said, his voice shaking but fierce. "But I see how you've hurt so many of us. I won't be silent anymore." A chorus of agreement erupted from the crowd, voices overlapping in building strength. Jack looked at Oliver, seeing thinly veiled panic flickering in his eyes. "You're losing control, Oliver," Jack said, pushing forward. "This is bigger than you now. The truth has a way of breaking down walls." Jack felt it a shift. The power dynamics were changing, and they were doing it together. But Oliver wasn't finished. His eyes flared with a dangerous glint, and Jack steeled himself as the bully took a deep breath. "You have no idea what I can unleash," he warned, his smile both chilling and defiant. Jack's heart raced. Did Oliver truly have something planned? "We're ready for whatever you think you can throw at us. Together, we'll stand," Jack declared, bracing himself for the inevitable fallout and trusting his friends to stand firm. He knew changes were coming. But what would they bring? Would this newfound courage hold up against the storm new was brewing? Courage and fear danced an unpredictable tango in Jack's chest, and as the tension escalated, he found himself wondering if they were truly ready for the revelations that lay ahead. What kind of monster could Oliver really unleash? The tension in the room crackled like electricity. Jack could feel a weight pressing down, an urge to silence that evil grin on Oliver's face. The crowd was restless, an army ready to charge, but Jack knew that Oliver still had a few cards up his sleeve. "Do you honestly think this is just about words?" Oliver spat back, his voice now laced with menace. "I have resources, connections. You'll find this fight isn't just happening here." Jack's heart sank for a beat. What did Oliver mean? Was he threatening them, or did he have something more sinister in mind? He glanced at Emily, her face shadowed with worry but still glowing with determination. He nodded slightly, hoping to give her a surge of courage. "Whatever you think you hold over us doesn't matter anymore," Jack stated, forcing every ounce of conviction into his words. We aren't alone in this. We're stronger together, and we're willing to fight. The crowd began to murmur louder, their spirits rising with Jack's emboldened stance. They were ready for battle, ready to face whatever Oliver had in store. One by one, students stepped forward, each rallying behind Jack, adding their voices like bricks to a wall of defiance. I've seen you hurt people, Oliver. Someone shouted, a recent victim of his cruelty. And I'm not afraid of you anymore. Hands clenched into fists, faces hardened. Oliver's bravado was faltering, and for the first time, doubt flickered in his eyes. You're all just a bunch of pathetic losers, he snarled, but the anger felt empty, a painful mask for a crumbling facade. I don't believe you, Marissa countered, stepping beside Jack. You've had your fun for too long, and now it's over. Your power came from our silence. Well, guess what? We're speaking up. Jack felt the rush of adrenaline, the thrill of unity washing over him, igniting strength in their voices. They were ready to dismantle the empire Oliver had built on fear. But just as they stood on the precipice of their uprising, Oliver's laughter shattered the air like broken glass. Think you're all brave now? He mocked. You'll see. You're just pawns in a game you don't understand. I can make your lives hell, starting tonight. The crowd gasped collectively, confusion flooding their faces. Jack's stomach dropped. What kind of twisted plan was Oliver concocting? The fear creeping back into the edges of their resolve felt suffocating. They couldn't retreat now. They had come too far. Don't listen to him. Jack shouted, trying to rally their spirit again. He thrives on intimidation, and that's exactly what we're fighting against. Jack's heart raced as he assessed their faces. Determination still flickered in their eyes, but gnawing uncertainty hovered like a thick fog. What if Oliver had an ace to play that could bring this entire movement crumbling down? Would they have the strength to withstand it? I know he thinks he can intimidate us, but we aren't backing down, Jack said, his voice rising, a rallying cry echoing in his chest. We have to stay united. Emily caught his gaze, her grip on his hand tight, conveying support. They were standing on the edge of something monumental, and though the fear loomed, the belief in one another shone brighter. But as Oliver's gaze narrowed, Jack sensed the dark energy building. What stirring plan lay beneath that twisted smile? The horizon felt dangerously close, and he couldn't shake the feeling they were heading into a storm. Let us stick together, he urged, feeling the ground shift beneath them. Whatever he throws our way, we'll transpose that fear into strength. But there was a part of him that wondered, would that be enough? As he met Oliver's eyes, Jack knew one thing for certain: the real game was just beginning, and the stakes were higher than anyone could foresee. The collective energy of the room pulsed like a living thing, a mix of hope and anxiety swirling in the air as everyone prepared for the unthinkable. Jack's heart raced, thumping steadily against his chest, echoing the sentiment shared between those gathered. They had come too far to turn back now. As Oliver's icy gaze swept over the crowd, Jack met it with unwavering determination. What will you do? More empty threats. Jack's voice rang out, steady and resolute. You've lost control and you know it. Though doubt crept into the edges of his mind, a sense of urgency surged within him, reminding him of all he had fought against. Emily stood defiantly beside him, a bastion of strength, as she squeezed his hand tighter as if to remind him that they were not alone. That there was power in unity. You think this fight is about you, Jack? Oliver taunted, eyes narrowing dangerously. I'll dismantle every connection you've forged here. Your little fundraiser. A joke. His laughter was sharp, a sickening sound that sliced through the room, a clanging gong of hostility. This is just the opening act in my grand plan. Every word dripped with malice, but Jack refused to flinch. You don't scare us anymore. We're done being afraid of you, he shot back, his words invigorated by the whispered echoes of support behind him. Marissa stepped forward, her unwavering presence a shield against Oliver's threats, championing their cause. We won't let your games diminish the sacrifices we've made. You're deceiving yourself if you think we'll cower. But Oliver leaned back, a dark smile creeping across his face. Oh, I can assure you, you won't be laughing for long. I have plans far beyond what you can imagine. His voice lowered, dangerous and conspiratorial. And I'll make sure everyone regrets crossing me. Jack felt the air grow heavy, ridiculous visions dancing through his mind, threats woven in obscurity, whispered fears dragging like chains. But that was where he realized he could not afford to slip back into doubt. Each eye in the crowd turned towards him, waiting, expecting courage and hope. The unconditional support wrapped around him like a warm embrace, drowning out the cacophony of fear. Whatever you think you can do, we stand together, Jack proclaimed, drawing deep on his inner strength. We are stronger united than we ever were alone. You no longer command the shadows, we've stepped into the light. His words imbued the room with resolve, igniting them like fireflies in the night. It was then a ripple of whispers, nods of agreement flitted among the crowd, a wave of power surging within them, revitalizing the moment. Jack could see the expressions changing around him, fear transforming into determination, doubt melting away in the warmth of their unified purpose. I promise you, Oliver, Jack continued, the rhythm of his heartbeat syncing with every rising declaration, this is just as much about you as it is about us. We will not let you inflict pain and suffering without speaking out. Such bravado, Oliver scoffed, forcing a smirk on his face, but something in his eyes betrayed him. Jack could see the flickers of uncertainty creeping through the facade as murmurs of solidarity grew louder, stronger around them. Jack took a breath, ready to push against the darkness choking the room. Are you really as invincible as you think? We're not here to hurt you, just to expose your heartlessness to the world. We'll share our stories, and through them, we'll claim our strength. You are not our monster anymore. The crowd roared their agreement, a blend of voices rising like a choir, drowning out Oliver's fading bravado. Faces illuminated with newfound courage filled Jack's heart with hope, and he could feel the walls of fear start to crumble around them. But Oliver still stood there, cornered but not finished. Let us see how long this harmony lasts. When the dust settles, you'll be the one watching us from the sidelines. Jack exchanged determined glances with Emily, hoping to breathe life into the raw possibilities of healing. I'm ready for whatever comes next, he responded, voice steady, sure of himself for the first time. We all are. Oliver's composure faltered, and desperation carved lines across his face. The realization sank in, he wasn't in control anymore. In an explosive moment, the crowd surged forward, rallying around Jack. Together. They shouted, their voices intertwining with hope and resilience. With a nod from Marissa and a squeeze from Emily, Jack took a step towards Oliver, all fear melting away. He could see the cracks forming in Oliver's bravado as the tide shifted. Your reign of terror ends here, Jack declared, a finality anchoring the words. We will stand united for a better future. And as a wave of solidarity washed over them, Jack realized it was true, they had come together, a fierce force of love, hope, and determination standing against a solitary ember of deceit. The glow of Christmas lights twinkled outside, a perfect metaphor for unity rising from darkness, igniting the desire to reclaim their stories and their power. In that pivotal moment, Jack felt a profound connection not just to Emily, Marissa, or the townspeople around him but to humanity itself, their collective strength igniting a revolution against the shadow of intimidation. Jack smiled, knowing they had turned the tide. This is our time. He yelled, and the crowd echoed his sentiment back, powerful and harmonious, wrapping them all in an embrace of liberation. The battle was far from over, but they faced the future together, emboldened and ready to write the next chapter of their stories. Verses of hope, love, resilience, and maybe just a hint of redemption foreshadowed a brighter tomorrow where shadows would never again reign over their lives. With that overwhelming realization, the world seemed brighter as they prepared for the journey ahead. And as they solidified their bonds that night, Jack knew one thing for certain: they were changemakers, and together, they had finally found their strength. Now, this is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm because it makes a difference. Comment with your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.